Are we live?
Waiting for further liberation.
Says I've been going for 26 seconds. Says there's two people here. Don't know if that's me and someone else or two people aside from me.
Me.
One just dropped out. Oh, there I am. And we're off. Oh, hey. Hi, Charlie. Aaliyah and Siddharth are here. Amazing. You guys got tea? We're drinking green tea. Indeed. Kombucha and dinner? Yeah, made by Sid. Oh, how nice. Well, I don't know if you guys know what the plan here is exactly, but I'm basically just going to sit here and drink tea, and Charlie's going to hang out with me. And if people pop on and have questions of any kind, or even conversation starters, then we'll go from there. But I got nothing planned. This is just us hanging out. More tea, Charlie. Thanks, Leah. Four. Someone here that we don't know. Two people. I don't know if the number includes me or not. Does it?
I hope so.
There may be two people here we don't know. Who goes there? That could be nice. The original idea for these meetings was to do like a Zoom thing / a YouTube live so we could meditate together, because I felt it was kind of strange to just do that on YouTube live with me being the only person on a screen. But let's do it anyways.
Mhm.
So let's all just drop in a little deeper. How long am I going to be here? For an hour or so. So till 5-ish. We'll see how it unfolds. Yeah. So for now, let's just drop into our bodies and our breaths. So whoever's present, if you wish, find a comfortable seating position where you can feel centered. And just start taking some really long, deep breaths deep into your body. Bringing in awareness to every part of your body, little by little. With each breath, just allowing yourself to notice what's present, what sensations in your physical body, both externally and internally. Just witness any emotions that are present, any movements in your heart. Allowing yourself to witness any thoughts or perceptions that you're holding, or perhaps even ones that just pass through. Just allowing yourself to witness all of these pieces. The body, the mind, the heart. Just allow them all to become one in the presence of awareness. All of these separate parts extend from the same root, the same home, which is awareness. We are that which is aware, aware of the words that flow out of this mouth, aware of the warmth on the fingers from the teacup, aware of the subtle tension in the knee, aware of the soothing presence of the breath, aware of the smell of the incense. Allow yourself to witness all that which you are aware of in your now moment. Allowing yourself to become more and more connected to and identified with the process of awareness. Simply noticing how things can come and go. Noticing that which sticks around. Noticing that which was already there that you weren't noticing before. Allow yourself to deepen into presence with the observer, the part that which is aware. If there is identification with the thoughts or the feelings, simply notice identification. I am aware of identification. In this process of purifying the awareness, witness what arises, what shakes and moves, any thoughts, emotions, curiosities, perceptions. And I welcome you to bring them forth for us to explore together. Watch what arises in you and offer it up as a means to explore. It could be offered in the form of a question or a comment or a simple observation. And that may arise something within me that I can take and expand on and perhaps come to some conclusions about. So just open yourself up for whatever may come in and whatever may arise. As you begin to bring your attention back to the room around you by opening your eyes, feeling more in your body, and allowing yourself to share anything that feels worth sharing to you. Let's take 3 last deep breaths together as we do this, then come back to our connection. So empty out your lungs. When you're ready, inhale. Again. One last time. Allowing ourselves to open our eyes if they aren't already. Just be with the space. Oh, I see what you're doing there. There's a little heart that blocks off some of the words. Okay, it's just a question mark. What are you devoted to? What does devotion mean to you? Oh, it's interesting because I have um, automatic reactions to a question like that. Um, First thing that came to mind was God, devoted to God. And to me, that also means truth. And I feel that that's probably the highest devotion that I hold is to truth, which to me is akin to God and to love. But for me, the reason why my devotion is primarily to truth is it's interesting to witness it as somewhat of an archetype of God, of the divine. The divine is empty, has no character, and yet as it begins to unfold into seemingly separate parts, it develops qualities first. And these qualities are like archetypes, and they have such qualities as truth, love, bliss, awareness, perfection, heaven, honor, expansion. All of these and more are qualities of the divine. And the reason why I gravitate towards truth is because it is what sustains my awareness of the divine. It is something that always leads me back to the awareness of what is so. The truth of the divine is that it is perfect and whole in every moment, in all its expressions. And this is a beautiful truth to hold, a beautiful awareness to hang out with. And so a life requires practice to return to this over and over again when we feel ourselves being led astray. And truth for me is what always brings me back. Understanding, comprehension. I often teach my music students that the more ways we understand something, the more solidified it becomes in our being. So if we are teaching music, then we have ways to learn. So if I'm learning or if I'm teaching the drum beat to a student, then I'll show them how it's played. They'll witness my body play the drum beat. They'll hear the sounds, the different sounds of the different drums and how they feel in their body and how they are experienced in their ears. And then we write on the board how to write the drum beat. And we learn how to read it. And then we learn how to count it. And every kid is different in terms of which ones they gravitate towards most. Some do really well just by listening and repeating what they heard. Others need to have it broken down and count it out so they know exactly how to count it so they can understand the different pieces of it and how it all works together mathematically. So all of these different ways of understanding one drum beat allows the student to remember it more strongly and in such a way that it lasts. And the same can be said about the presence of the divine, the presence of truth, the presence of God, the presence of awareness, the presence of love. All of these different methods are ways in which we come back to that. So for me, in terms of being devoted to truth, there is a devotion to the understanding of the mechanisms of reality, the understanding of how it all operates. So in leading from my heart, in only feeling the emotions of the human experience, it is often easy to get lost in fear or attachment or any other emotion that creates a state of consciousness that one can inhabit and be consumed by. So that's why truth is a necessary balance for that, to be able to feel the emotions and then to have some semblance of understanding of why they're there, what creates them, what are the stories around it, how we as humans operate emotionally, physically, psychologically, and spiritually. The more ways of understanding we have, the more solidified our communion with the divine becomes. So we may have a very deep experience of divine love from perhaps like a breathwork session. But if you lack the understanding of what's happening in your body or why you saw what you saw or had the vision that you had, if you lack the understanding of how visions work, why we feel so deeply, if you can have an experience of something mystical or what would be the word, paranormal, and yet you have no understanding, no conceptual understanding of what it is, then we are subject to get lost in fear surrounding those experiences. And it becomes difficult to integrate what you experienced and keep it as a truth that carries you throughout your life, as an understanding that allows you to expand. And having just the experience without the understanding becomes difficult to integrate and make it a part of who you are. The understanding, the truth, not just the logic, not just the thinking mind, but the deep truth of the heart beyond the feeling heart, the knowing heart, the one that truly understands what's happening. In being in relationship with that, it solidifies, makes it known, arises again, or confusion arises again. There that can come about through the mind to remind you what is the truth of the experience. And then from there, you can be led back to the center where truth is felt and love is known. I have a feeling that was Sid hard to ask that question. Are you aware of yourself to be enlightened? uh, I'm going to pour some tea first. And then what'd you say? How does that manifest in your body? The enlightenment or the truth or the experience of it? I'll speak to the first question, I guess. Are you aware of yourself to be enlightened? Oh, it was Aaliyah. Amazing. Okay. Sid asked me this the other night, Aaliyah, so I thought it might have been him. And so I'll give you a similar answer to what I gave to him, which is a question, really, which is, what is your definition of that? Because there are many different perspectives of what enlightenment truly means. But what I can tell you is my perspective of it, how I define it, and whether or not I see myself that way. So I see a difference between awakening and enlightenment, because I feel we can have multiple awakenings, which means that we are in a certain state of consciousness, which is limited, and then it expands to include more awareness, to include more truth. And then so that is an awakening experience. You might become awakened to how anger has ruled your life. And then you might become awakened to how you were choosing that anger. And then you might become awakened to how you can change that. So each step is an awakening experience. It often comes in the form of the sensation or the experience of an epiphany, where there's a grand realization that allows you to shift your consciousness and your perspective. So enlightenment, in a sense, is the final awakening. It's where everything is seen, everything is known. There remains no mystery, no unanswered question. No confusion, no fear, just complete and total awareness of what is and how it is. Within this experience as well, the question why becomes irrelevant. And this is something that I did experience, because in my gradual awakening experiences, why was often a question that I would sit with. And in the final awakening experience, let's say, when I said, why is this? What, like, to witness what this is, an infinite, boundless, vibrating energy of pure consciousness that manifests into the illusory nature of forms, separate forms, to know itself. In seeing that, in witnessing it in my mind's eye, feeling it in my body, knowing it in every fiber of my being, let's say. The question why became obsolete. It kind of dissolved in the space, because why implied that there was a reason for it, which implied that there was a purpose to it. It came about for a purpose. It came about for a reason, which implies that there was a beginning. Something made it be, and then from that making it be, from that, let's say, entity that made it be, it offers the perspective of a circular argument or a circular reasoning, which indicates if there is an entity or being that made it be, then what made that entity or being come to be? So, in exploring this circle, one realizes that there is no reason. It simply just is. However, we as conscious beings who are limited consciously, we've chosen that to experience what it is to be limited consciously. We as those conscious beings can create the experience of meaning and of reason and of purpose. But it exists only relatively speaking. In the absolute, in the all that there is no reason for it. It simply just is. It always has been and always will be. And then from there, from that knowing, there is a communion with all of it. To detach from the identity structure, to detach from idea structures, conceptual structures of the mind, and to simply be without being any particular thing. There is a dissolving and a merging with the absolute, with the all that is. And in merging with it, one fully understands itself to be it, and in understanding itself to be it, understands its totality and what it is and how it operates. And that is an enlightenment experience. Any question that one has is immediately known, because there are no boundaries, there are no blockages, there are no densities in the way of the answer. The moment the question arises in the mind, the answer arises along with it. This is the experience of the enlightenment. But to speak to your question directly, are you aware of yourself to be enlightened? From my definition of what enlightenment is, the way I see it, it would be more appropriate to say that I've had an enlightenment experience where I knew myself to be all that is. And there was no separation between me and anything else in existence. And there was no separation between me and that which creates all that is, both the emptiness and the fullness and all the separate parts. There was an experience of being all of that. And then I was aware when the mind started to come back online and start to identify with aspects of that infinity. And so I have the recorded experience, I have the memory of what it is to be enlightened in a moment, to merge with the infinity, to merge with the ever-present now, and to know myself, to know Michael as a limited part of that ever-present now. So in those moments, I was one with all that there is, one with all knowledge, one with all experience, one with everything that ever was and ever will be. And yet, subsequently to that, the mind came back online and started to live amongst this awareness, to live in the presence of this awareness. So I still remember and know deep in my being that I'm all that is. And when I say I mean the I that is within you as well. I'm not speaking from Michael's perspective. I'm speaking from the true I that you share, that everybody shares. We, as a collective, are all that is. And at the same time, there's only one of us here. And for us to appear in these separate parts is part of the illusion that we play. So that is something that I always know. And yet there are moments when I don't feel it as fully as I do maybe right now, or as fully as I have in the past, where I wasn't even speaking or thinking, just simply being. So again, are you aware of yourself to be enlightened? I've had enlightenment experiences, and I remember them, and I know them to be true. I know that I am the divine manifest in physical form. I know that everything around me is divine manifest in physical form. And I know that physical form is but a lens through which the mind understands itself. Physicality in and of itself is but an illusion. This awareness has been with me from those initial enlightenment moments and has never left. And even in moments when I feel what it's like to be separate, and the pain and the fear and the confusion that comes with that separateness, behind all that or beyond all that, still exists the awareness that I am just the awareness, simply being or pretending or choosing to experience what it is to be in fear, choosing what it is to be in confusion or anger or sadness or anything that might be considered undesirable. And yet I also choose to have the experience of being in the joy of the separation, of the delight of the separate forms. This is simply the nature of living in duality. To take delight in the separate forms is also to agree to take pain in the separate forms. And there's a choice that I've made to be in this dual experience. And yet, from a grander perspective, there's no chooser. And when I say I chose, it's more appropriate to say that this being is a result of the unfolding of this particular vessel with all its particular characteristics, mathematical functions, and particular vibrations that leads it to an experience of choosing, the illusory experience of choosing to be limited, to live in the duality. All of this is lawful unfolding. There is no real chooser that is having any agency here, unless you want to consider the all that is as the one agent, choosing to be itself in an infinity of different ways. Hey, Martin. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your question, Leah. I really enjoyed answering that. If anybody else have any questions, please fire away and take great delight in answering them. Uh, okay. I love these questions. Okay, I'll go in the order they arrived. Do you think it can be different for others like me who have the direct experience of being filled with light, connected? Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't mention this part, but when I defined enlightenment in the past, I've written about it before, and I spoke about even the word to be enlightened is to be the way I perceived it was to be enlightened to the truth, like the light is now on and now you see. The light is here and now you can see. So that was the way I would perceive it, is that once you see the truth, you know the truth, it never changes. I don't know who said this, but I read it in some book somewhere. Some sage or saint said that, actually, I think it's in the Bhagavad, that once you have seen the truth, there's no not seeing it. Like once you've seen the full truth and know it, there's no forgetting. And that's been my experience. Um, and it's interesting, Aliyah, the way you experience it in your body, the way you're filled with light. I guess according to my definition, then it becomes, does that fill you with the knowing of what is without doubt? Because everyone who is referred to as an enlightened being or enlightened master in any ancient text, or any historical text of any kind, it typically refers to someone who knows their divinity without doubt. Like take Jesus, for example. He didn't say, I think I and the Father are one. He said, I and the Father are one. He knew it without doubt. It was not something that he questioned. It was present to him. He was aware of it so strongly that it could not be moved. The same way, we might feel like right now we know we are breathing in oxygen. We know we are intaking air. We know we are breathing. There's not really anything that can create doubt in that knowing. The presence of air is an absolute to us in this moment. And enlightened masters know themselves to be one with God. And so much so that doubt and fear and confusion around the subject cannot be created again, or at least cannot remain. Um, I've had experiences of being in a higher state of consciousness where doubts and fears would come in, and I would recognize them right away as what they are, and they would not have the emotional purchase in my being that they once had. It would just be like watching a movie, watching somebody else's fear. It doesn't affect me. And so, and that's what I mean by it can come about, but it doesn't remain. It doesn't hold true to the being. So when someone knows themselves so fully as divine, without doubt, I would say that that's what's considered enlightenment. So to speak to your question, do you think it can differ for others? I think the ways to it, there's so many pathways to that experience, to full and total enlightenment. And the way you experience is Shakti moving through your body, just the purified energy that's moving through your body. That is an aspect of it. For me, it was through the thinking mind. My thinking mind destroyed itself by thinking itself out of existence. Once it questioned itself so thoroughly that it realized that it was not who I was, it ceased to exist. And then I had an experience of being in the thoughtless space. And in the thoughtless space, the energy that was typically focused in my mind now expanded into my entire being, where I too felt it in my body. But it was through the mind that I arrived there. And it appears to me as if you arrived there through the experience of love flowing through your body. And I guess the question becomes, do you arrive in the knowing, in the certainty of yourself as divine? Or do you still hold doubt and fear and confusion surrounding the idea of it? Connected. Yeah, connected is an interesting choice of words because When one is all of it, there's no such thing as connection, because you wouldn't say this part of the ocean is connected to that part of the ocean. In order for connection to exist in some sense, there has to be something connected to something else. In total enlightenment, there ceases to be the experience of connection. It is just the experience of oneness. There is no Aliyah to be connected to the divine, because Aliyah and the divine are the same thing. And that would, in my view, be the experience of the enlightenment. All is seen, all is felt, all is known. Doubt and fear do not exist. They cannot remain in that space because of how strong the awareness of truth is. The word count ran out. Sometimes I think it would be nice to feel clear peace. It's a delight. Clear peace is beautiful. Feel free to expand on that, respond to anything I've said, Aliyah. I'll address Martin's question. And if you want to expand more, I'd be happy to go there. Martin. That's great. There's only a little one. What is the meaning? Well, I guess you weren't around for the first explanation of truth and devotion, which led me to talking about meaning. I think it was that one. Yeah. But meaning is something human derived. It's a product of the mind. Meaning is a concept that we can experience, a state of consciousness that we can conjure and inhabit and know it to be real on that level. But the meaning of life is a difficult question to answer, because all is life, all is consciousness, and to have meaning implies that there's something that doesn't have meaning. So in the question, what is the meaning of life? In order for there to be a meaning of life, there has to be an absence of meaning. So something has meaning and something else doesn't. That's how we would define anything, is by having its opposite exist as well, or having its absence exist. And so in the meaning of life, let's decode that for a little bit. Meaning to me is akin to reason or purpose. What are we doing here? What is the meaning? Why are we doing this? Why are we having life? Why does life exist? And as I was speaking about earlier, in the absolute, in the awareness of all that is, there is no why. There is no purpose. There is no meaning. There's no inherent meaning in life. It simply is. Consciousness simply is. And it's always been that way. And it always will be that way. And that being said, because we are limited beings operating from a limited consciousness, we can experience meaning. I'll give you an example. I was hanging out with Siddharth a month or two ago, and he was telling me about his lineage and how he knows his lineage and the connection he shares with his ancestors. He knows where his family name comes from, and he knows how long it goes back. And when he shared this with me, my heart was so open, and I had this deep experience of meaning. I really felt like, wow, that's so beautiful that you have that you know where your family began, that you know what they represented and what they tried to uphold for centuries or millennia or however long they've existed. And I had this profound experience of meaning that was so beautiful to experience. And then it started to fade. And it was okay. I didn't need to hold it. It was just a beautiful, joyful experience. Like, wow, I really love that you have that. And then as it faded, I realized, yeah, I had the experience of meaning, but it's a temporary, transient experience. It's an experience that arises in life. It's something that comes from the absolute, comes from the infinity in from the forms, from the separate forms. So as we as separate forms limit ourselves into separate forms, we can have experiences of beauty and meaning and reason and purpose. And those things are the qualities that are closest to God, closest to the divine, closest to the infinite consciousness we are. But in the absolute, where all is one, none of those words exist. It is beauty, but it isn't. It is meaning, but it isn't. It is purpose, but it isn't. It simply all just is. So to life itself, you could add some ideas to it. Life is to expand. Life is to know itself. Life is to experience what the soul knows. Life is to know love, to know joy, to know pain. We can really subscribe or ascribe. Which word's more appropriate there? We can apply any of those words to life. But in communing with the absolute, where everything is the same, everything is one, meaning ceases to be. And yet it's okay because you don't need it, because you're already complete there, and you don't need meaning to feel anything. You don't need meaning to feel whole. You don't need purpose or reason to feel complete. You simply are eternally satisfied with simply the presence of your being. Oh, okay, Elia. Beautiful. More tea, Charlie. Actually, I had to steep it, so you can leave your cup. Mm. There's a bunny rabbit outside. Mm. Okay, it's almost 5 o'clock. I'll hang out for a little bit longer. But for anybody that's still here, just want to let you know that I'm going to do this pretty often. I really enjoy this, just sitting here and drinking tea and being asked questions. Something I delight in. So, yeah, please come back again. I will do some form of this every 2 weeks, whether it's YouTube Live or a Zoom meeting where we can all meditate together And this is just the first one in terms of getting to know how this operates and what I want to do. And maybe sometimes I'll come with something prepared or an idea in mind that I'd like to talk about. But the reason why I'm doing Q&As is because I thrive in being asked questions. In my past, I've made YouTube videos and I've sat in front of a camera and just blanked. I know I have a million things to say and lots of ideas and perspectives. But if I'm not given direction, or if I don't feel some form of desire from another being for an answer, then it's doesn't come as readily. But when someone asks a question and they want an answer, something just rises in me and it comes through in a beautiful flow that I get to enjoy being the vessel for. So I'm going to just make myself available to answer questions as often as I can. Okay. See you guys. I love you both. Martin, do you want to hang out for a little longer, and maybe if you have any other questions before I close it up? Your tea is ready. Cool. That sounds amazing. Wow. Thank you for coming, my friend. And thank you for your question. I hope you'll come again. Enjoy your flute and enjoy the beach. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Okay. Martin, if you're still here, thank you for coming. And beautiful. Sending love to you as well. Until next time, my friend. Until next time, everybody. This was truly, truly enjoyable. Enjoyable. I had a lot of fun. Until next time.